Welcome back to the Vertu YouTube channel. Now, we have got something that was very popular in America, but it's been made for Europe, and it's got a VW chassis. It's the Ford Explorer. We've done the Capri, we've done the Puma Gen E a few weeks ago, but now we've got the Explorer. It's bigger than a Cougar, it's not as big as a Mach-E, but is this your next fully electric SUV? Well, stick with us and we'll find out if it's good enough. Before we get in and drive it, let's talk about the pricing. Now, this could be yours from £31,011 from a Vertu dealership today, as in the day of filming. Right, let's talk about the styling first and then we'll get in and drive the thing. First of all, I think it looks really nice. It's a little bit more boxy than the Capri. Remember, the Capri was the sporty SUV, and it's bigger than the Puma, and like I say, bigger than the Cougar. But I think the styling of it is always going to be very electric-y. And what I mean by that, lots of smooth grooves. They call this sort of front end the Shield. They give it a name, and I think it looks quite cool. It's got that sort of shield look to it. I really like the LED lights on here. There's a little bit of air intake as well. It's not sort of groundbreaking, but it looks really nice, and at night that light bar will look really cool. This is the grey and black combo with Explorer written across. Very, very smart, but there are some very cool colours, as we're going to show you now. My particular favourite, maybe the light blue. Really love that. But yeah, it's a very nice looking front end. The side is going to be a little bit understated. I really like the shark fin at the back there. That's a nice sort of nod to the American version. And it's just a nice little bit of styling. And I think it sort of catches your eye. But we're here next to the alloys. You've got this sort of electric sort of feel to them. You can always tell an electric car from the alloys nowadays. But these go from all the way from 19s to 21s. These are 20-inch alloys that we've got on here. And I think they look really nice. And finally, finishing with the back end, again, I think understated is the thing. We've got Explorer written again, this grey and black combo, very lovely. Quite sort of subtle, I guess, the Explorer in the black bar. We've got these rear lights, clear, transparent lights with that sort of 7 styling. And this spoiler is actually quite substantial. It doesn't particularly make it sporty, but I think it looks very, very clean indeed. Now let's go on to the boot, because you know I love to talk about boot space. Now it's got a substantial boot. We've got about 470 litres of boot space, and we've got a little bit of underfloor sort of space there as well. So we've got levels to this boot as well, and we've got a 60-40 split, but we've got a through load space as well. So we've got access to the boot from the back, and we can load long things through that little gap there, that little hatch. So look, the boot is absolutely adequate. Can I let the seats down from the back? I can. Absolutely easy, via a button there, can't really complain. I've got the 12-volt charging point there. Look, 470 isn't the biggest in the range. Obviously a Skoda Enyaq's going to be bigger than that, but it's certainly not the smallest. Now, on the inside, let's talk about trim levels. There is style, there's also premium. We're lucky enough to be in a premium version here, and it is a very nice interior indeed, similar to the Gen E. By the way, if you want to go watch that Gen E video, click up there somewhere and you'll be able to do it. But I really like what Ford have done with the premium styling. First of all, there's no hard plastic to be found. There's a little bit up there, but not around here. This is all a nice sort of textured material on the door, a little bit of ambient lighting that goes all the way through here, and it also is in this very nice Bang & Olufsen sound bar that you get with the premium as well. So that ambient lighting goes all the way through the door, through the sound bar. Very, very nice indeed. And obviously you've got plenty of options on the infotainment system, which we'll come on to in a moment. In terms of seats, you've got all sorts of adjustability in these electric seats. Very, very good indeed. Up, down, lumbar support, absolutely everything that you'd need to get a good driving position. I was very, very high up when I got in here, but lowered it down to be cool. Also, yeah, talking about the seats, this is leather effect. It's not leather, it's something called Sinico. Basically, it's a man-made material, but it doesn't feel cheap as well. And these are very, very nice seats indeed. And just to let you know, the passenger seat is not electric. It's only the driver that gets electric. I was just feeling down there to see if it was. No, you're going to have to use the old levers for that. Let's come on to the infotainment system, because this is cool. We know it's cool because it moves. It's basically to help sun glare, I think. I said that on the Gen E as well, didn't I? Yes, he's nodding, yes. That is really cool. I never get bored of it because it reveals a secret compartment to put sweeties in there. That's what it does. You can put sweeties in there. I'm not going to say sweeties again, but you can put stuff in there and you can hide it. I think that's really cool. The infotainment system was a vertical screen, 14.6 inch screen, and everything is on there. You do not have any buttons. In fact, you even get a little slider here. The people who've not got buttons and want buttons, at least your climate control is a little bit of a shortcut at the bottom. To control as well. You've got your heated seats on there as well. You've got a heated steering wheel as well. But it is very, very responsive in terms of infotainment system, exactly like the Gen E that we had the other day. No complaints there, and it's got all sorts on there in terms of your driving assistance and everything that you could need on your infotainment system. And I really, really like it. I can't complain. Only complaint is, I guess, is this slider. I just prefer some buttons. Now, where this Explorer really shows off is storage. Now, I've mentioned the little secret compartment, but I've got a big space there for mobile phones, wireless charging on the right here, but also another space possibly for the passenger's phone. I've got cup holders here, but this central sort of compartment is huge. Now, I've got a tray in there that I can use here, which is fine, but it's massive. You can fit a laptop in there. Yes, you can. A laptop in there, you get everything, but also these can come out as well. So you get your cup holders out of there, and you can just have this massive storage compartment there. You can also put your tray in here as well. Hold on, wrong way round. There we go. There we go, perfect. So it's very adjustable. You've also got this little partition that slots in to different areas of the centre console, but it also acts as a scraper. Haha! Scraper and a centre console partition. Right, as you'd expect in an Explorer and something that, I don't know, is meant to be American, it's got lots of room. Look how much room I've got here, and that's my driving position. That is really, really impressive. And because of the battery stuff being underneath this floor, it's obviously risen, I've still got plenty of room to tuck my feet under. Here, that is really, really good. Very pleased. And as you know, that's not always a given. In electric SUVs, sometimes I've got my feet can't get under, or the room's a little bit less. I guess what I'd say, because of the risen floor, my legs don't go flat onto the seat. That's one sort of complaint, but I'm not really going to complain on a long journey. I've got lots of room here as well, headroom, and I've got a massive pan roof on this premium model. So again, sometimes stuff with sort of pan roofs are sort of eat into the headroom. It really doesn't. And obviously I was in the Capri again. Go watch that video. You will see that's got a slope roof, and that really does impact the old headroom. So very, very pleased there. I've got a couple of USB-C charging points, so my passengers will be happy. And I've got a little bit of storage there with a pocket and a storage bin. Isofix points are clips, very accessible, very, very easy. And that sort of fake leather interior is there. The only thing I would say is that this centre seat is a little bit raised. So if anyone's sat in there, I feel they're going to be a little bit raised, and it's probably not going to be the most comfortable, but you've got plenty of room to get through across the back here. And you'll be pleased to know I've got armrest and cup holders, and as I mentioned, access to the boot. I really like this as a sort of back seat passenger space. Well done. Let's go through the electric charging stuff. because that is super important on a fully electric car. Right, there are some options. Now, there is a 59 kilowatt hour battery, but you're probably going to go for the more popular version, 77 kilowatt hour battery, because the range is quite different. You've got around about 270 odd mile range on the smaller battery, but then you go up to a whopping 374 miles of range on the 77 kilowatt hour battery. Now, there are two rear wheel drive options, but there is also a high performance all wheel drive option, which does affect the range. You're going to get around about 330 miles on that, but you will be able to charge a little bit quicker on that, around about 26 minutes compared to 30 minutes on the other two. I hope that clears it up. By the way, on that all-wheel drive, you do get a battery of around about 79 kilowatt hours, so a little bit more in terms of battery power, but whilst you get 335 brake horsepower, you do lose a little bit of range. Right, okay, let's talk about the rear camera first of all. It could be a little bit more HD. I do have my 360 camera there, and it's split to the main rear camera and the 360 camera. It's good, but I do have active park. When I click on that and you put the indicator on, it will start to look for a parking space for me, and yes, will help me into that space. So that is quite a cool feature. Now, the beauty as I pull out here, I've got that instantaneous torque that electric SUVs and all electric cars have, and I absolutely love it. Gone are the days of turbo lag when you are going electric, and that has got to be a consideration when you are looking at your cars. A lot of in-town driving now, I don't worry at roundabouts, I don't worry at busy junctions anymore, because I've got the trust. When I put my foot down, it actually goes. Now, let's talk about putting your foot down. When you put your foot down in this Ford Explorer, there are some options, as I mentioned. The rear-wheel drive, sort of, I guess, mid-range option with the 77 kilowatt hour battery is, you can expect a 0 to 60 of around about sort of 6.5 seconds, 6.4 seconds. And it's got around about 270 brake horsepower. Absolutely plenty for a car of this size and for what you're going to want it for, which is me, mainly school runs, dropping off to various football, netball, or wherever I've got to go, and putting the miles in for work. Let's talk about steering, handling, and all that sort of stuff, because I'm pleased to say I'm not driving an absolute tank, or it doesn't feel like I am. I am in the bigger car. Like I said, it's bigger than the Cougar, smaller than the Mach-E, but I actually feel that I'm driving something, I guess, substantial, but it's got a nice turning circle, very light steering, and perfect for in and around town. I've not felt like I'm sort of overwhelmed with how big this is. Also, in terms of handling over on country lanes, I guess the only element you're going to miss is that real fun element where everything sort of stiffens up and you've got a bit of a sports SUV. But you've got to remember, the Capri is tagged as the sports SUV. And then you've got obviously the Puma Gen E, which is a little bit more light, a little bit more sort of nimble, I guess. But this Explorer is perfectly placed, plenty of room for all the family, still quick enough to make sure that you're not driving something ridiculously slow, but it's going to absolutely eat up motorway miles when you put all the family in. You've got the roof box on top of the car and you're going camping. Yes. In terms of visibility, it's very, very good. Like I say, find a driving position with the electric seats is absolutely fantastic. The pan roof allows for a lot of light coming into the cabin as well, and it's very quiet. I've not got a loud car whatsoever. There's hardly any wind noise coming through, and also these tyres actually have a specific tread to them to make sure they're not noisy. They're actually made for an electric car, so it's all been meticulously planned. And what else would you expect from something that aligns themselves with that German reliability of a VW? Because that's exactly what it is. We've got Ford styling with the VW chassis. That's on the ID4 and ID3, and then some of the Skoda counterparts as well. The thing I love about this Ford Explorer is I think this is the best all-rounder in terms of electric SUV that Ford have done. I think the Capri definitely had that X factor in terms of turning heads on the road. I think it looks very nice with the sloped roof. I also think the Puma Gen E, in terms of being that crossover SUV, it's not quite an SUV, it's still very much a hatchback in my book, especially when driving it. But this, I feel that I am in something that's quite big. I do feel like I'm in a raised SUV, but I feel like I'm driving something that gets off the line so quickly when I put the foot down. It throws me back into the seat a little bit, and it also has very light steering and fantastic comfort levels. So I think the Explorer is ticking a lot of boxes for those people that like to be raised, like to be in something substantial, but want it to handle a little bit like a Ford Focus or a Ford Fiesta. That is the Explorer explored. So what do I think of this car? Well, I actually really like it. It's lovely to drive. It's perfectly positioned in Ford's electric SUV sort of fleet, because the Puma Gen E, slightly smaller. Then we've obviously got the Cougars of this world, and then we've got the big boy, which is the Mach-E. But this sits there alongside that Capri, which is more sporty, offering you as a family a little bit more of a safer option. And I think this is an absolutely fantastic SUV, but do not take my word for it. Get in touch with your local Vertu dealer. Drive this, you will not be disappointed, and we will see you very soon for the next one.